I'm on mute. I'm on mute like an idiot. You lot didn't get to hear my intro, which is a good thing because I made a mistake. Can you lot hear me now? Let me know. Let me actually check if you lot can hear me now. Can you hear me? Yeah, you lot can hear me now. You lot can hear me now. Listen, big up to everyone locked in. Be sure to hit the like button, guys, and be sure to subscribe on this wonderful Thursday evening. We got a lot to talk about. We have so much to talk about. Erik ten Hag has just done his pre-match press conference. It's been a long time since there's been a pre-match press conference for a build-up ahead of a big Manchester United game. And of course, it is a big Manchester United game. It is a big Manchester United game. It's the Community Shield on Saturday against Manchester City. And let me tell you guys now, we're just going to go straight into it. We are just like, we're not even gonna, I'm not gonna do a long intro. I'm not gonna be like, hey guys, how's everyone doing? We're gonna go straight into it. Manchester United only have 3 fit defenders available going into the Community Shield. You guys have heard correctly. Manchester United have 3 fit defenders. That is including Lisandro Martinez, Johnny Evans, and Diogo Dalot. So I guess another person's going to play out of position. Is this a time where, I don't know, we might see, I don't even know who's going to play left back, guys. Are we going to see Lisandro Martinez play left back and Casemiro in centre back with Johnny Evans? I'm not too sure. But Erik ten Hag has just done his pre-match press conference, and there's of course a lot of things to talk about. But we're going to talk a little bit about that, and of course a little bit of transfers. And he did touch on the topic of transfers in his pre-match press conference. He spoke about whether Manchester United are in the market for new players, and he said, when we have news, we will announce it. You've seen the market is still quite quiet, and we've done some business. We've done 2 deals, and it's all about the timing, the market, the options, and the right moment and the right things. Erik ten Hag just talking a lot, but it's not saying much at the same time. Now, I don't expect him to come out and say, oh, we're signing this person, and you know, we got this person out the door, and I don't expect that. But I don't also expect Manchester United to be entering a Community Shield game with only 3 fit centre backs. Listen, guys, that is atrocious. Let's be real. That is atrocious. Given the fact that Manchester United had so many injury problems last season, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is questionable. I don't know why, given the fact that he played throughout pre-season. Victor Lindelof is also questionable. Harry Maguire is questionable, and so is Luke Shaw. The guy who got fit for the Euros is now deemed as questionable being available for the Community Shield. Luke Shaw, let me put it into context, guys. Luke Shaw, Kobbie Mainoo, Alejandro Garnacho, and Licha all came back from international duty around the same time. The 3 of them are the other 3 are available for selection in the Community Shield. But of course, like I said, it's just Community Shield. So for me, the big one is next week. But guys, let's quickly I just want to quickly mention this. You lot are probably thinking, why the hell is Mikel Arteta on screen right now? I don't know if you guys saw the Athletic article that came out today, but Mikel Arteta, this is so funny. Mikel Arteta hired professional pickpocketers. You heard it right, guys. Mikel Arteta hired professional pickpocketers to rob his players. When I read the article, I couldn't stop laughing. And they were successful in robbing said players for their belongings in their pockets. And it was to teach them a lesson of paying attention. Let me pull up the full quote for you guys. If you don't want to read it, The Athletic did a in-dive piece on Arsenal's pre-season. But yes, you heard it here. Let me pull up the full quote. At dinner with his players, Arsenal manager Arteta secretly hired a team of professional pickpocketers. The artists were tasked with going around the tables and pinching phones and wallets from first team squad members that weren't paying attention. At the end of the meal, Arteta stood up and asked the team to empty their pockets, and a number of players were missing valuable items. The idea was to teach his squad the importance of being ready, alert, and prepared at all times. I'm sorry, guys. I know this is not Man United related, but I just had to come and mention it. I couldn't stop laughing this morning when I saw it. It had to be probably one of the most funniest things that I've seen thus far. But listen, let's get into talking about Erik ten Hag's pre-game press conference that he's done ahead of the Man City game. Big up to everyone in the chat. Be sure to hit the like button if you just come through. He was asked quite a lot, can I say, about the transfer window. And in particular, he was asked about strengthening Manchester United's midfield. He spoke about players such as Mason Mount, etc. But in this part, he said, I don't want to go into the details where we are now in recruitment and what we are working on. Of course, you're not going to do that. We know what we're doing. We are in a good position with the squad, and just wait, patience, and in the right moment, we will tell you. This sounds like a man who sounds confident in what his team are capable of doing. He was then asked about Jadon Sancho and his versatility and how he could be utilized by Man United this season. And, you know, we've already spoken about the possible prospect of Jadon Sancho playing as a 9, a false 9, playing in the 10, playing across both right and left side, etc. And he said Jadon can play across the whole front line, and that's why he's an option for more than one position, and it depends on how you set up the team. You can look at the tactics, the opponents, and what fits best. And Jadon has the ability to be used in a game, but both as a starter or a substitute, which is what I kind of anticipate him to say. He spoke about selling players. He was asked about Man United, whether they need to sell players to buy players. And this is interesting to me. He said, we've done that already. We already brought people and we've already sold people. And as I have said, we have a squad where in every position there is double occupation. Now, I know a lot of you are probably on the mindset that INEOS are failing Manchester United right now. But I think INEOS are fixing a financial issue where there is a lot to be fixed. There is a lot to be fixed. Like, let's put this into context, yeah? So far, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS, since taking over Manchester United, have contributed over £150 million into Manchester United, yeah? From that, 40 million, yeah? 40 million of that was paid to the people that were part of the takeover process, so the bankers, the lawyers, etc. Just over 5 million they had to pay they had to pay Arnold, in his compensation. And then, you know, they paid for Dan Ashworth's compensation for getting rid of Murto, bringing in Jason Wilcox, etc. So that total cost of 150 million that they've already injected into the club has gone to the administrative side of taking over and bringing in the football structure that they needed to do. That's a lot of money. And on top of that, the 50 million that they're spending on Carrington. So a lot of the money that has been injected into Manchester United thus far has been groundwork. It's been surface level. And this is why I feel like the notion of the whole, why don't INEOS just invest money and just, you know, why can't they just inject 200 million for the transfer window? Guys, there's football regulations that have to be followed. There's football relegations that have to be followed. In this instance, I feel like what INEOS are trying to do is, I think that they are trying to fix everything so that Manchester United is not leaking cash non-stop like they were historically. You know, Manchester United, from a cash flow perspective, are struggling. Let's be honest. They might have record revenues or, you know, one of the biggest clubs in revenue every year, but cash perspective, Manchester United are struggling. So they need to improve that. They have to improve that. Now, of course, like I said, the inability to sell people, and that's what we're gonna start with, is Manchester United struggle to sell people for meaningful fees. That is probably what is the hardest situation that they have to deal with, because they probably didn't anticipate it. They probably didn't anticipate that not one team would come in to buy Casemiro. They probably didn't anticipate it. They probably didn't anticipate that they would be in a standoff between Fulham and West Ham trying to sell Scott McTominay and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. They probably didn't anticipate that they would have no bids in yet for Victor Lindelof. These are all players that they've probably been, you know, had the intention and the plan to sell, and it's not been that. It's not been that. Now, of course, Manchester United have spent 100 and something million euros so far in the transfer window on two players only. But those are two important players. Lenny Yoro, his freak injury aside, will come good when his time comes for Manchester United. I promise you that. Joshua Zirkzee, Eric Ten Hag was speaking about him today, is going to be a big difference for Manchester United's front line and how they play, given the fact that he can offer so much in that front line. So I think financially, what they are doing is reasonable. It's reasonable. And I don't want people to dwell on it too much. That's my whole point, is that I don't want people to dwell on it too much. But look at this, guys. Some promising, you know, good teamwork, bonding, acknowledgement, whilst Mikel Arteta is robbing his players. whilst he's getting his players robbed at a team dinner by professional pickpocketers. Carrington, today at Carrington, Erik ten Hag presented Lisandro Martinez and Alejandro Garnacho with some special plates. It's like a big plate for winning the Copa America. So a nice little acknowledgement from the club. But listen, let's speak about this. Let's speak about this because Z's laughing that Luke Shaw is injured again. Guys, Man United are going into the Community Shield with 3 fit, not centre-backs, 3 fit defenders. 3 fit defenders. Now, today as well, it was announced that Will Fish, let me find it here. Today it was announced that Will Fish will be out and has suffered torn ligaments and is set to be sidelined up to 5 weeks. This setback rules out a transfer for Fish, who has generated interest from Championship clubs. So, again, wouldn't have been an integral part of the first team, but would have been a small difference maker maybe financially for Manchester United. Now, on top of that, Manchester United are in a standoff with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So Man United are in a standoff with Fulham and they're in a standoff with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Now, I'm going to keep it 100, guys. I'm going to keep it so honest. And I've said this time and time again. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is entitled to the money that he's asking for, because it's a contractual obligation that he signed with Manchester United. Now, INEOS now have to find some loopholes or find some way around all the mess that the Glazers made when it came to giving people contracts. INEOS have bit off a lot, maybe a lot more than that, what they can chew. And now Manchester United find themselves in a standoff where reportedly, guys, it's not 2.5 million in what we've alluded to that Aaron Wan-Bissaka feels he's owed. It's a £7 million bonus on his contract. So some of it is part of his contract that Manchester United owe him in the difference of what he's paid versus what he's going to get at West Ham. And the rest is a bonus that he's entitled to if he had his 12 months triggered, which he did. So 7 million, guys, 7 million. By the way, can I just say, this was a similar situation. If you guys recall, the same thing happened last summer with Harry Maguire and West Ham. I think it was West Ham. Yeah, it was West Ham and Harry Maguire last year. Remember when they wanted to do a double push for Scott McTominay and Harry Maguire? And one of the things that was holding the transfer back, or the potential transfer, was that Harry Maguire wanted what he was owed by Manchester United. And I'm not going to lie, if you are keen to have a player out the door without being able to sell him or without having to sell him outright, then you take the L. Let me ask you questions in the chat, guys. Just say yes or no. Do you want Man United to pay Wan-Bissaka off and just get him out the door? Or are you happy for, you know what, we're not going to sell you furthermore, we're just going to keep you and you're just going to sit on the bench? Because Manchester United right now are struggling with defenders, right? They are struggling with defenders right now. They ain't got a left back going into Saturday's game. They've got 2 fit centre backs and 1 fullback. People are saying different answers in the chat. Paul says yes, pay him off. Tirish says keep him. Fillmore says yes. I think that's in terms of paying him off. Sahil says we need him for the Community Shield. Anthony says we need Wan-Bissaka right now. Big up to Aveswald says paying him off is stupid. Keep him sit on the bench. Do you think United need to be ruthless? They need to be ruthless, because right now I feel like Erik ten Hag would utilize players such as Wan-Bissaka, such as Scott McTominay, the players that they're unable to get out of the door. I think Manchester United will definitely utilize them. In particular, I think, you know, a player like Scott McTominay, who we know the manager is fond of, he will play. Man United won't have him sitting on the bench. And I don't think that Manchester United will, you know, if they were happy with having players sitting on the bench, they would have left Sancho to do that. They would have left Sancho to do that. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is hurt too. This is what I don't understand yet, is that the players that are unavailable on Saturday, reportedly, or they are questionable, some of them were playing on the pre-season tour. That's what I don't understand. Aaron Wan-Bissaka was playing regularly during pre-season. So I'm not sure how he's gone from playing regularly in pre-season and then just suddenly not being available or having a question mark on his head. For me, that's a bit... I'm not saying it's weird, but it's just, is Man United going to have another heap of injury problems going into this season? That's the question. How about Scott McTominay? How about Scott McTominay, another player who Manchester United are trying to sell, but Fulham now, can I say, similar to West Ham, the ball is now in the court of Fulham. Fulham have said they're not coming back in with another bid. It's very unlikely. And West Ham, by the way, guys, have now gone and queried about none other than Kieran Trippier. So they need a fullback. They need a right back. It's very obvious they need a right back. They wanted Mizraoui. They're now, trying to get Wan-Bissaka. If they can't get Wan-Bissaka, they're turning their attention to Kieran Trippier, who I think doing business with Newcastle might actually be more easier for West Ham than doing business with Manchester United. They can spend 33 million for Emile Smith-Rowe, but not 25 million for McTominay. And you know what it is? I just think it's the package that Manchester United is looking for. And by the way, guys, Emile Smith-Rowe, if he stays fit, I know he's younger than Scott McTominay, so maybe he has more sell-on value than Scott McTominay, right? Number one. Number two, I totally agree. Man United want 30 million. They want 30 million. However, it's packaged for Scott McTominay, which I totally, in a world where I've seen, I just seen a youngster from Boca Juniors, going. Let me find it. I just saw a youngster today from Boca Juniors going to Chelsea for 25 million. Who is he? But asking for 30 million for Scott McTominay, who's a proven Prem player, is quite outrageous. Salam minna wa alaikum salam. Elite Baller says next summer we'll be able to get rid of more deadwood. That's the thing. I think this process of getting rid of deadwood is a slow process. Guys, slow process is better than no progress. Remember that. Just always remember that. Even if it feels like Man United are going through a 100-meter sprint and they're going so slow, you will get to the finish line eventually. And eventually Man United will get all this dead weight out of the team. It will happen eventually. But one thing I will say is, out of the two players Manchester United are trying to offload right now, I think it's more likely because, again, it's been reported that Erik ten Hag wants to keep Scott McTominay. Why? Because he's found use for him in the team. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, not in a rude way, but Erik ten Hag doesn't have use for him in the team because there's no game-changing plan that he can do that implements, requires you having to implement Aaron Wan-Bissaka in the team. But there is a game-changing plan for Manchester United in a game where they might feel like, Erik ten Hag might feel like, you know what, throwing Scott McTominay in is reasonable right now because he'll be that box crashing half 8, 9, whatever the hell you want to call him, and he'll get into some threatening places in the box and probably get win a header and win duels. So it does feel like out of the two of them, it's more likely that Erik ten Hag will find use for Scott McTominay. However, this story has resurfaced, guys. The story has resurfaced now in the last, I will say, week. Manchester United fans have not heard anything meaningful regarding Matthias de Ligt and Nazir Mizraoui. But we have heard news about Denzel Dumfries, and reportedly Inter Milan are looking to explore this possible opportunity if West Ham and Aaron Wan-Bissaka falls through. Now, I think there's nothing to say that Manchester United won't be, butting heads with Aaron Wan-Bissaka in the same manner if Inter Milan is involved. In comparison, if West Ham's involved, maybe Inter Milan could actually afford to pay him a bit more. That's more closer to what he receives at Manchester United. But that would mean Denzel Dumfries coming the opposite way. No disrespect. And I mean this in the nicest way. But I do not want Denzel Dumfries. I do not want Denzel Dumfries at Manchester United as a fullback. Now, of course, if he was to come to United, I would support him. I do think that there is better options. And I feel like a player like Nazir Mizraoui is more suited to Erik ten Hag's style or the way that Erik ten Hag wants to play than a Denzel Dumfries. I also don't trust, guys. I don't know if it's just me, right? Let me know if you are the same. I don't trust players that play in a back five as a fullback because you're playing more like a wing back and you've got a lot more support defensively from 3 centre-backs next to you in comparison to people who play in a back four as a right back or something. And I know Denzel Dumfries plays in a back five for the Netherlands as well. Players who are not good enough are still heading into another season. When the F will Man United learn? It is a bit underwhelming. I'm not going to lie, guys. It is a little bit underwhelming, but we have to be patient. We have to be patient. I'm seeing people already throwing their toys out of the pram. Listen, a rebuild is not going to happen in one summer. You and I both know that. We all know that the rebuild is not going to happen. However, in a deal like this, can I just say, in a deal for Dumfries and Wan-Bissaka swap deal, I don't see anyone but I don't even see Man United benefiting from it because they won't get a fee for him. They won't get a fee for Aaron Wan-Bissaka in a team that's cash strapped and struggling. I don't want to say struggling financially, but they are cash strapped from a PSR perspective. It's not gonna happen. Saeed says we're effed, you know, Mina. Saeed is the guy that's been singing the patience and you know, trust INEOS and trust the process, etc. etc. And he's coming here already. This season ain't even started, guys. This season has you lot got Saeed stressed. You lot got Saeed stressed as well. At this point, start cancelling contracts if players don't want to go. What are you saying? Terminate contracts like Arsenal were doing when Arteta first came in. The thing is, they can't terminate contracts for no plausible reason. Like I think there has to. I'm not a HR expert. I'm not a legal expert, but I do think you cannot just terminate a contract just because you can't sell the player and you don't want to keep the player. They might have to, like, I don't know, man, set the player up. They might have to set the player up. Anthony says Mazraoui is injury prone. I'm sick and tired of our systemic injury. And adding an injury prone player is suicidal. Dumfries is better. Who are you guys taking? Dumfries or Mazraoui? Who are you guys taking? If given the fact that Manchester United, if they sell Wan-Bissaka, they can buy Mazraoui. So they get money from, like, to use money. They get cash to buy players. Whereas with Aaron Wan-Bissaka, they ain't getting cash, but they will be able to just get a like-for-like swap. A like-for-like swap. Fillmore says, Mina, I hear you with patience, but hand on heart, will you be fine with a top 6 finish? Because I am. A lot of fans, I don't think, this is a rebuild. You know what's funny? I have this conversation all the time, and sometimes people say your standards are low. This ain't what United think. But I think we need to accept what United have been for the last 10 years. Once you can accept what United have been for the last 10 years, then it's easier to be honest with yourself and have this conversation. Because if we're still living in the past days and, you know, what the Manchester United was under Sir Alex Ferguson's dominance, or what we thought we might have been getting with Jose Mourinho or under Oli, what we thought we were going to get, you know, that night in Paris, etc., etc., etc. We have to accept that Manchester United in the last 10 years has been run like beyond a clown show. Yeah, it's been, I don't know what is there I don't even know what it's called, but it's like a circus. United has been run as a circus for the last 10 or so years. Now, when I tried to predict this season, I'm in 2 parts about it. Because I'm in one part, I'm like, okay, United are building something from scratch now. United are building something from scratch. It has to, you know, teething pains. It has to hurt for it to get better. And then in the other side, I'm like, but this is Erik ten Hag's 3rd season. He's now going into this season having spent 500 million euros plus. Erik ten Hag has now spent 500 million plus, and I still can't say I expect United to be under a title charge. I can't, and that's sad. That is really, really sad. So I'm trying to find the right balance between the two. One part of me knows that it has to get worse before it gets better, and I'm hoping that we've passed the worst stage, which was last season, and now it's going to get better. But then another part is like, you know what? Erik ten Hag's 3rd year. Are you telling me it could be his 4th year and we still haven't challenged for the Premier League title? I'm a bit of both. David says Mazraoui I want because he's going to revive that right hand side. Dumfries is more defensively inclined. Mazraoui's injuries are no issues. We'll have Dalot come on. I hear that. Let me see what you lot were saying. Most of you guys were saying Mazraoui. Anyone who can be fit every week. Mazraoui's better for our system. Dumfries, that's a crazy name. Dumfries is ass and cheeks. Z says Mazraoui as well. Big up to Mark, says Mina, I want to ask, why didn't Vincent Company go in for Sanderberg to take him to Bayern? He's so uninspiring. Let's get to that then. Let's get to the topic of midfield, because I don't know what it is that, I'm not gonna lie, guys, I knew of Sanderberg, right? I knew of Sanderberg, but I'm not gonna lie and sit here and say, I've been saying United should get him from the jump. But please, let's not turn our noses up at a player just because he's playing in the Championship or he's been relegated or XYZ. My theory is that Vincent Kompany did not go in for Sanderberg because inevitably Bayern Munich were always going to buy Paulinho. They were meant to get, if you let's rewind back to last summer transfer window when Paulinho was meant to join Bayern Munich. And what happened, I think it was his medical flopped, or I don't know, something happened with his medical and the deal fell through. He was meant to go to Bayern Munich and he stayed another season at Fulham. Bayern Munich were always going to get Paulinho. They were always, whether it was Vincent Kompany, the manager this season, whether it was whoever, Thomas Tuchel, Nagelsmann, whoever, it could have been Erik ten Hag, the manager at Bayern Munich. They were going to get him. So I don't think that Vincent Kompany did not buy or go for Sanderberg because, A, that is his former player, right? But he was not going to go in for him. Had Bayern Munich already knew what midfielder they were going to go and get. They knew what they were going to get. I don't think necessarily also we should equate that all signings at a team like Bayern Munich, etc., are always on the manager. Some of them are, but I think some of them are down to the board and their system that they have in place. I think they make the decisions equally as well. But just some info on Sanderberg, reported by Sky Sports earlier this morning, was that Sanderberg is keen to join Manchester United, and Manchester United have held initial discussions with Burnley over a potential deal for Sanderberg. United are exploring the conditions of a potential loan. Burnley reportedly looking at anything above 20 million. Man United reported, this is just reportedly, Manchester United are looking to put in a bid for 25 million pounds, which is including the add-ons already. So it could be like a 19 plus 5 or I don't know, 20 plus 5. One thing I will say, guys, is that a strong part of me believes if Man United get Sanderberg, they get Fofana as well. And I don't know why. I feel like the two players, molded. There are players out there that are the two players molded into one, but United can't get that. United can't get that right now. Now, the whole Zubimendi circus, how did United let Zubimendi go to what's it called? How did United let Zubimendi go to Liverpool? It's funny because I'm seeing so many mixed reports, by the way, about this Zubimendi deal, because I'm seeing that some reporters are saying that the manager at Real Sociedad is pushing to keep him and trying to convince him to stay by telling him about the nice weather in Spain and the good food and all of that. Meanwhile, Manchester United not Man United, sorry, Liverpool are pushing to have him through the door and are willing to pay that 60 million release clause. Now, if he goes to Liverpool, it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. A part of me feels like Manchester United were actually never interested in him. I honestly, a part of me believes that Manchester United were never really interested in him. If you look at all the midfielders United have been linked to, and we actually could make like a whole starting 11 of midfielders that United have been linked to, right? They have all been different profiles. And out of all of them, guys, let's be honest, there's not been anyone outside of Manuel Ugarte so far, and now Sanderberg, that we've seen actual like solidified information about Man United speaking to their agents or speaking to the club, etc. Everything else was just, and Yusuf Fofana just recently reportedly Manchester United have presented a project to his agents. Everyone else, in particular, people like Zubimendi, etc., it's just been, they're on Manchester United's list. There's been no kind of, links weren't strong enough. There were no strong links. Abu says, forget about Man City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. This United team is not better than Chelsea, the Spurs, Newcastle, and even West Ham. The same Chelsea that have 355,000 players in their team right now. They've got a squad of 47 people. How can you have a squad of 40-something people, guys? Come on, let's not lift up other teams by downplaying our own. Let's not do that. I think one team that is going under the radar this transfer window is Aston Villa. Aston Villa is linked to that defender, Gertrude, I think his name is. They're trying to get him as well. Of course, they've brought in quite a few players as well. They actually might do a title charge. David says we can get Ugarte when we get Champions League money. That's one thing that we have to keep in consideration, guys. We spoke about kind of the finances, but also take into consideration, guys, this transfer window, no one's really spending money like that. Let me show you lot transfer window 24-25. Let me show you lot like how like teams that are spending money, because really and truly, I saw Ipswich are the 15th most. They've spent the 15th most in the transfer window this summer in the whole of Europe. Ipswich. People are not spending money like they were. I think, let me see who's the highest. The highest fee so far has been Manchester United. The highest fee thus far has been Manchester United. Let me show you. Look. This is in order of who's been the most expensive cost. Obviously, it's all in euros. Lenny Euro, number 1, has been the most expensive player so far. Obviously, we know that Julian Alvarez is linked to going to Atletico for 95 million, so it'll probably be him. After that, Saudi, 60 million. João Neves went for what? João Neves went for 59 million, guys. Why did I think João Neves went for 70 million? But again, João Neves, Amadou Onana, Elise, Douglas Luiz, gone to Juve, Paulinho. Like, people are not spending money in the manner that, you know, historically people spend money in the summer transfer window. It's not really happening. But another midfielder Man United are linked to is Andre from this Brazilian team. Now, I realized something interesting, right? Is that Fulham are also interested in him. Do you think Man United have the pettiness in them? I don't think they do. But do you think Man United have the pettiness in them to go and sign a target that Fulham want? Because they ain't gonna go and get Scott McTominay anymore. You know, like how they tried to force them out from Bayern Mazraoui by forcing Aaron Wan-Bissaka to West Ham. They might do the same. They might do the same. Now, again, like I said, this is just another member that Manchester United are linked to. This is another midfielder. But I've said this time and time and time again. It's a strong possibility that Manchester United start the Premier League campaign against Fulham with only one new signing. I actually don't believe that Man United will bring in two players between now and next week, Friday. I will be very shocked. I will be very, very shocked. But I equally, I would be very, very shocked if Manchester United do not bring in these two guys right here. And the reason why I'm saying these two guys is because of Manchester United's clear defensive issues that have started already. They're already going into the Community Shield game on Saturday with only 3 fit defenders. No Wan-Bissaka, no Luke Shaw, no Tyrell Malacia, no Victor Lindelof, no Harry Maguire, no Will Fish. Not that I'm saying that Will Fish would have played, but he would have been a number in the team defensively. So now Manchester United find themselves in a position where they have to get something moving. Like, they have to. And also, can I say, Bayern Munich are now in a position where Bayer Leverkusen have given them a deadline to sign Jonathan Tah. They have been given a deadline to officially make the move for him. They had an agreement in principle for 30 million euros. And now, reportedly, Bayer Leverkusen, I think, has given them until Saturday to allow Bayer Leverkusen time to plan with or without Jonathan Tah in the team. And as a result, they have been notified that they have until Saturday to sort out whatever issue it is that they have, whether it's Matthias de Ligt going out, etc., and by Jonathan Tah. Now, what is the likelihood, guys? What is the likelihood, if there is any? Do you think United end up with 2 of these players? Deadlines don't work. They do. They do work. Deadlines do work in football. You can give a club a deadline to move for a player, because at the end of the day, Bayer Leverkusen rightfully have that right to do that. They are being forced to wait for Bayern Munich to sort out their mess in their home whilst they're trying to build their house, basically. Bayer Leverkusen are trying to build their house. And they can't build their house until they know whether Jonathan Tah is leaving or not. So they have every right to do a deadline. They have every right to do a deadline. We've seen, can I say, deadlines been done for release clauses. People have random deadlines in their release clause that you have up until this date. And then there's a release clause, etc. But I do think that it is possible. It is possible that Jonathan Tah, if he does not end up joining Bayern Munich might turn around and be like, you know what, 60 million for de Ligt. And then what's Manchester United going to do? Are they going to go back to Everton and be like, here's the 75 million that you wanted, we'll pay you in 4 years installments? They're not going to do that. It's very, worrisome to me. However, how many weeks left? There's about, not that long. There's 3 weeks left. There's 3 weeks left of the transfer window. And of course, I think similar. I just don't want what happened in the first year under Erik ten Hag to happen again. And what happened then? Manchester United got embarrassed in the first 2 opening games of the league, and then went out and just panicked brought players. They panicked. They brought Casemiro in, they brought Anthony in, and spent ridiculous money on them. So I just don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen. But big up everyone. Listen, be sure to hit the like button if you've just come through, or if you've been here this entire time. Make sure you hit the like button. We've got just over 90 people in the room. Let's try and get 90 likes, and we can try to push for 100 towards the end of the stream. You know the rules here, guys. You come through, you say hi to everyone in the chat, blessings, greetings, and then you hit the like button. That is the rules here. If you want to join the members gang, the minions gang, as I like to call it, you can. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You'll get badges, you get your emojis, you get your custom member content, and of course, you get to support the growth of the channel. Now, if you want to support the channel in alternative ways, you can by simply hitting the like button, simply subscribing, or you can send in super chats with your comments, with your questions, with your thoughts, or if you just appreciate the daily content that I bring you guys here and you want to support the channel, you can do it just like that. So let's try to get 100 likes by the end of the stream or throughout the stream. And obviously, if you are watching this back, let's try and get to 100 likes. Make sure you don't know the rules, man. You guys know the rules. Just some non-Man United. Let's calm the room down a little bit and just move away from Man United just for a split second. David De Gea is expected to sign for Fiorentina on a 1-year contract with the option for 1 extra season. Now, we know that he was linked to joining another club a couple of weeks ago, and then that fell through because of his wages. Listen, if Varane can find a club so easily in Como FC and take a pay cut, there's no reason David De Gea, bro, I know you've been unemployed for a year, but there's no reason why David De Gea can't go ahead and play football. There's no reason. There's no reason for that. Now, let's get into this. Because I know a lot of people feel deflated right now with how the window is gone. Guys, look across the transfer window. Minna, what if hitting the like button is too violent? Maybe people should gently caress the like button. Whatever makes you lot feel good, do that. If it's you just want to stroke it, you want to caress it, you want to hit it, do it. I don't judge. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS. I know a lot of people feel underwhelmed with how the transfer window has kind of panned out so far. But you have to look around at the Premier League right now. Who has actually brought in players? Who has brought in more than 2 players outside of the top 6 or in the top 6? Arsenal have brought in Calafiori. Liverpool brought in no one. Man City have brought in Savinho, whatever his name is. Who else? Chelsea brought in way more than 2 people, but we've been knowing. Guys, don't panic. Don't panic under this regime. Like, I genuinely feel like one transfer window is not enough to judge INEOS or judge the footballing structure. That's all I have to say. I know a lot of people. The only thing I'm annoyed with personally is that United seem to have prioritized signing a striker when the midfield problems has been staring us down the eyes for the last 10 years, or near enough the last 10 years, or maybe less than that. But the midfield problems have been there for a long, long time, and that is what is underwhelming for me. That's what's the most underwhelming thing for me. Now, Joshua Zirkzee will come good. He will be useful for Manchester United. United will be able to benefit from him. You know, hopefully he'll go on to score goals and assist goals and create great chances. But I wish Man United had started the summer transfer window by buying a midfielder. And I look at all the players United have been linked to. Yeah, Fofana, Sanderberg, Zubimendi, Manuel Ugarte, even Amadou Onana before he went to Aston Villa, etc. I get some of them were away at international tournaments, so making a move for them would have been unreasonable. It wouldn't have worked out until they had returned from that. But be calm, guys. Don't panic. Don't be like INEOS sold us dreams. INEOS did that, because one transfer window or half of a transfer window, you can't judge INEOS on that. And like I said at the beginning of the stream, like I said at the beginning of the stream, Sir Jim Ratcliffe came in and had to invest money as he promised that he would. And most of that money went to administration costs, basically. It went to paying the bankers and the lawyers that, by the way, guys, can I say, by the way, let's take this to the Glazers. That the problem should be there. They paid over for nearly £40 million in lawyers and bankers in what was the selling process of the club, or selling partial parts of the club to Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And what did they do? All of that cost had to be absorbed by Manchester United, not the Glazers, not the Glazers. So Sir Jim Ratcliffe came in and had to pay some of those costs because it was on Manchester United's books. Man United were invoiced for it. The business entity was invoiced for it, not the people that own the business. Which is what happens, by the way, guys, when you own a company. Fun fact, guys, when you own a company and you're registered, etc., etc., any kind of cost that you incur relating to the business is a business expense, and it will go down as an admin expense. And Sir Jim Ratcliffe had to pay that. He had to pay nearly £6 million to get rid of Arnold. He had to pay to get rid of Murto. Why? Because the Glazers brought them in. The Glazers brought them in to a role that they should clearly have never been in. On top of that, the decision to refurbish Carrington, spending 50 million or so with that. That's basically where all of the money thus far has gone. And then on top of that, they have to, I don't want to say manipulate, but they have to weave their way around PSR rules in the transfer window, where Manchester United's financial accounts clearly states that they have nearly 50 million, I think it is, was in cash or cash in bank. It's a harder transfer to complete. There are bare midfielders, not many centre forwards. Euro is a once-in-a-generation transfer. They've been precise with it so far. All right, let me ask you guys. Man United find themselves going into Community Shield with only Joshua Zirkzee available as a new signing, right? How many new signings do you see Man United having by next week, Friday, when we open the Premier League campaign against Fulham? Because it's a strong possibility, guys, that Manchester United start the Premier League with pretty much the same starting 11 as last season. Maybe bar one or two players in like Varane, etc. We could possibly see Jadon Sancho play false nine. We could possibly see Scott McTominay play as a box crashing 10. We could possibly see that. We could possibly see Anthony as a left back. Who would have thought? I'm not gonna lie, 2 weeks ago, or back in July, or the beginning of July, when United signed Zirkzee and they were in the process of getting the Euro done deal, which, by the way, they got that done in 36 hours, so we know that Man United can get deals done. I thought United are bringing in 3 or 4 more players. And I'm not saying that Man United can't do that between now and the end of the transfer window, but between now and next Friday and bringing players in and integrating them into the team in time for Fulham, it's worrying. Let me see what you lot are saying. Z says 0. Elite Baller says 3 more. Wale says 1. Fillmore says 0. Hopefully 1. Superscar says we don't sign anyone until the last week of August. That was under the old regime. We are made to believe now that this is a new regime and a new structure. INEOS will panic buy if City beat us like 5-0 or something. Big up to Fat Thor in the chat. Says 3. Says a centre-back, a fullback, and a DM. So we believe that everything we're sitting here talking about, guys, everything that we're sitting here talking about, the midfield links, the centre-back links in Delit, Mazraoui, etc., you lot are under the impression that United could possibly get that done. I think our transfer window is over. We might get a couple of free players like that former Academy Arsenal player. Let me bring that up here, actually. Here he is, live on screen. Manchester United are reportedly interested in signing Hubert Graksik. Sorry, I had to say it slowly so that I don't butcher his name. Who's a former Arsenal youth goalkeeper, and he's very likely to join Manchester United. He would be the 4th keeper at United. Okay, why do we need a 4th goalkeeper? We got one who plays every game, one who never plays, another guy who, I forget that he's Man United's 3rd goalkeeper. in Tom Heaton. Lovely guy, by the way. I can't fault him at all. He seems actually like such a nice guy. But again, I always forget United employ him. To sell Bayinda. No, not to sell Bayinda, because he is rumored to be the 4th in line. That's what it's rumored to be, that he will be the 4th goalkeeper, which means he'll be behind Bayinda. He'll be behind Bayinda, he'll be behind Anana, of course, and he'll be behind Tom Heaton, who obviously we've seen Tom Heaton play once or twice during pre-season. So if that is the only signing United make, I can't get behind that. I can't get behind that. But let's quickly talk about Sanderberg, guys. Let's quickly talk about Sanderberg. How many of you lot are for Sanderberg joining Manchester United? And how many of you are against him and think that there's someone better that Manchester United could get? Given the price tag, I think a big part of it, by the way, is the price tag. I obviously think that there are things such as his ability and his talent and his skill set. I think there's all of those traits. But I do also think that a big part of Manchester United's targets would be to do with price tags. 25 million for him and just over 20 million for Yusuf Fofana. You won't get it anywhere else. Berge King, that's a good name. That's a good name. Now, at the beginning of the window, I'm not gonna lie, I was Zubimendi or nothing. I was all for Zubimendi. But I do think that Rabiot's story might resurface again if United are looking for depth in midfield. Erik ten Hag said it today when he was speaking about Mason Mount. He said basically, if Mason Mount can stay fit, he will be a good component for the midfield. But he had to state if he stays fit, because there's no guarantee that Mason Mount will stay fit. There's no guarantee that Eriksen will be fit. There's no guarantee that Casemiro will be fit, or Casemiro won't have a suspension or something. I think the idea of Casemiro for me as a kind of backup player, I'm kind of warming up to that idea. Of having him as a backup player. But I don't think Casemiro is in a place now where he accepts that he's a backup player or a depth player. I think he thinks that he's probably still a senior first team player that is part of the starting 11, the first name on the team sheet. Now, Manchester United might actually find themselves playing Casemiro this weekend at centre-back. Can you believe that, guys? I don't even know who's playing left-back, by the way. I'm just speculating in the instance that, Lisandro Martinez goes left-back and Casemiro and Johnny Evans are playing centre-back pairing. I don't know. I genuinely don't know who's going to play at left-back, personally. But United are always 2 or 3 injuries away in the centre-back position from having Casemiro slotting into that place again, which he's not always been amazing at. I'm not going to lie. There was quite a few scary moments last season with him playing at centre-back. There was quite a few scary moments. Drop 50 on Zubs and get Rabiot for free. That would be good business. I think anything of signing Zubimendi would be top business for Manchester United. But for me, the biggest issue is getting players out the door. Getting players out of the door is the biggest issue for me. Now, like I said, I think Man United will probably push more to get someone like Aaron Wan-Bissaka out the door. I think they're going to push to get him out the door and have him joining a new club, whether that is through him joining West Ham or through them doing a deal with Inter Milan to kind of have Denzel Dumfries going the other way. I think if Scott McTominay's opportunity to join Fulham has gone, I think Man United would be happy to walk away from that. Personally, I think Man United would be happy to be like, you know what, it is what it is. Because I think, like I said, time and time again, I think Erik ten Hag has more use for someone like Scott McTominay than he does for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think because of the ability of changing your style or changing your game plan to implement Scott McTominay, if you're chasing a goal or if you're chasing an equalizer or chasing a winner, you can bring Scott McTominay on. And you know that he's going to give you a different element. By the way, I don't necessarily agree with it because I think as a midfielder, your first job should be to midfield. Your first job should be to screen, to scan, to get the ball, to read the game, pass, distribute, get forward, link up, create chances or create passing opportunities, break the lines. That is your job as a midfielder. I don't think your job as a midfielder is to be a box crashing 8 or a box crashing 10. And scoring headers, because you're also then, can I say, I I feel like last season it was quite evident when Scott McTominay was playing in that role. People like Rasmus Højlund didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to do because all the spots and the spaces occupied by Scott McTominay is the spaces that as a 9 you'd probably try and occupy. So I think my personal opinion is obviously Scott McTominay should be sold because, again, also from a cash flow perspective, if we're sitting here talking about United's cash flow issues, or the fact that they are unable to generate profit from sales. I mean, it's been a decent summer this summer because they've been able to sell Willy Kambwala and then sell Mason Greenwood to Academy products. So from a profit perspective, that's good. If they sell Hannibal, by the way, we brought Hannibal for 10 million. So they need to sell Hannibal for more than that if they want to make a profit. But then they have to sell people like Scott McTominay, etc., etc. For me, Erik ten Hag has already made it clear that he wants to keep Scott McTominay. And you guys see how highly Erik ten Hag speaks of Scott McTominay in the press conference. And you know what, guys? I say this all the time, but there's no reason, there's no surprise, that clearly Scott McTominay must do something right because every manager that he's ever worked under loves him. Jose Mourinho wanted a reunion with him at some point earlier in the window when he joined, was it Fenerbahce? And reportedly he was interested in signing Scott McTominay. He wanted a reunion with him. Scott McTominay is clearly liked by all the managers that he ever works under. Ten Hag gets McTominay to move up because he can't do the midfield stuff. Do you think it's because he's more of a hindrance to the team when he's in midfield than if he's more forward? Because if he's more forward, but to be honest, guys, if he's more, oh my god, I just saw smoke coming out of my screen. I thought something caught fire, but there's a candle right behind it, and the candle's just gone out. My bad. I was literally about to panic and just end the stream, guys. But what I was gonna say is, Scott McTominay being pushed up more further up the pitch, guys, causes a lot more space in midfield. So yeah, you get the flip side of it where he gets into the right places and scores the right goals and that kind of stuff. But also when he plays and he plays more forward, he's literally causing acres of space between him and the next midfielder every single time. Wale says he disrupts the front line and leaves us depleted in midfield and in defense. Again, I saw a guys, I saw a video of Harry Maguire where he created a player based on all the players that he's played with, so all the different attributes like pace, shooting, etc. And when it came to tackling, he said Scott McTominay. And I said, in my head, I was like, nah, it can't be the same Scott McTominay. We're not talking about the same Scott McTominay. We are not talking about the same Scott McTominay. That is impossible. But I do think, Manchester United, if we get a here we go for an outgoing player, a strong part of me does think it's going to be Aaron Wan-Bissaka that is the one that gets the here we go, because I think it's also more easier. It's probably more easier for Man United to resolve the issue that they have with Wan-Bissaka in terms of £7 million, which is rightfully his money that he's owed. They should pay him that. But that £7 million that should be paid to him, I think it's easier for Man United to solve that than it is for Manchester United to solve the difference in valuation between Fulham and Manchester United. So again, we're going to have to keep an eye on it. We're going to definitely have to kind of keep an eye on it. Erik ten Hag confirmed something today, and this is not transfer related, but I guess it kind of confirms the hierarchy at Manchester United. He said he was asked in an interview with Dutch media, who is the person in Manchester United that you face responsibility to, i.e. who do you answer to? And Ten Hag said the CEO. And then the journalist said, oh, Umar Barada. And he said yes. So now we know who Erik ten Hag reports to. He reports to the CEO. And I guess it's like a funneling system where everyone reports to the CEO. I think Dan Ashworth reports to the CEO, Jason Wilcox does, and the manager reports directly to Umar Barada, not to Jason Wilcox, who's the technical director that's responsible for implementing or creating this style of football that Manchester United are going to play. But Erik ten Hag also in the media spoke about the process. He said, we have to build this club. We need to develop the team. But at the same time, the people in charge need to build the club and give this club the face that the fans deserve. So he accepts that it's both equally the team's responsibility to win stuff, but equally they have to be put in a place where they are able to compete to win stuff. So again, that goes back to the transfer window. Erik ten Hag can only make do with what he can get. That's it. He cannot, if he can only get 2 players in this summer, then he has to make do with that and find a way to win with that. He might not be able to, and it might be a difficult process if Manchester United continue to have a considerable number of injuries. But Erik ten Hag will have to try and work with whatever he's given. And he spoke about Joshua Zirkzee and the role that he will play at Manchester United. And he said that Joshua Zirkzee has skills that we are yet to have in this team. That is a strong sentence. That is a big sentence. In particular, his hold-up play, his creativity, and his dribbling. We don't have this skill set, or we didn't have this skill set yet in the striker position. So he's basically saying all the strikers that I've had thus far at Manchester United have not had the skill sets of Joshua Zirkzee. Hold-up play, we know Martial had that. Creativity, I don't even know if any of them had that. Dribbling, etc., etc. Now, it's interesting that he's pointed out things that you would want in a second striker, not in a number 9. Not in a number 9. That's interesting. Skill care. Guys, you don't know I got speech problems. What fun is it if I was to say every single word correctly, guys? It would be no fun. It would be absolutely no fun whatsoever. I will do a preview stream, on, what's the day today? Today's Thursday. So I will do a preview stream, guys, on Saturday, midday. I will be going to the Community Shield. So if any of you are going Community Shield, do let me know. But we'll do a preview stream talking about the game, kind of doing all the build-up kind of stuff, predicting starting 11, all of that stuff. We will do that on Saturday. Friday, tomorrow, as always, we have Daily Dose of Mina, where hopefully, I don't know, man, I find myself saying this every single day, guys. I find myself saying this every day, saying, I hope we get a here we go by tomorrow's stream. So I'm going to say it again, just for continuity. I hope we get a here we go. I hope we get a here we go by tomorrow, so we can sit here and dissect and discuss the new player that Manchester United might get. It might be very unlikely. I'm leaning more towards unlikely than it is likely. But we will have that on Sunday. We will have Liban here back from SDS. If you don't remember, I've had him on I think 2 or 3 times. So he'll be back again, obviously fresh off of the Community Shield. So we'll have a lot to talk about and the transfer window. A staunch Erik ten Hag supporter, guys. If you remember from my last streams, Liban from SDS is the biggest ten Hag supporter, on the same level as Marcel. It's been a minute since I've had Marcel on here, but we will get Liban on here, and then obviously we'll have Daily Dose of Minute every single day throughout next week as well. Is Elden Ring khalas? I can't lie, bro. I am I'm hyping myself up a little bit to go back to playing Elden Ring, because that day nearly broke me. That day when I played episode 2, that day nearly broke me. And to find out it was only the first kind of lord or whatever, the first tough dog that I was fighting, exhausted me. But I'm looking forward to EAFC 25, which is out next month. I can't wait. And then COD is out later. If any of you guys, by the way, play Call of Duty, I don't know, let me know in the chat if any of you play Warzone. If you play Warzone and you play Ranked Resurgence on Warzone, let me know, because I'm currently on Platinum. I'm trying to get to Diamond, but my friends are crap. My friends are actually crap. So if you lot do, let me know. Kathy, the receptionist contract extension. Here we go. I'm surprised they didn't make her redundant. Remember, everyone, spread love, because there's too much in this world. Facts, guys. Facts. Exactly what OJ said. There is too much hate in this world, and there is not a lot of love to go around. So be nice to each other. Make someone smile, and we don't tolerate everything that's happening in the world right now. There's no room for racism. Definitely not here on this channel. This is a community. This is a loving community. You guys know what it is. Strictly good vibes. But if we get a here we go, I give the same disclaimer every stream. But if we get a here we go between now and tomorrow, I'll be live. But if we don't, then I'll just be live tomorrow. I'm in a Twitch streams for COD. I'm gonna try my best. I need someone to hold me accountable for streaming on Twitch. Hashtag free Crocs. Hashtag protect the passports. Hashtag free Crocs. I seen someone looting Crocs. Do you know how low that we have to be as a society that people are looting Crocs? Guys, this dunya is mad. This dunya is mad. But listen, guys, if you're watching this back, be sure to hit the like button. And if you haven't hit the like button on your way out, like I said, you can touch it, you can caress it, you can smash it, you can like it. Make sure you like the video, guys. I'm out. I hope you have a wonderful evening, guys. Good vibes and love to all of you lot. Peace.